A brig is a sailing vessel with two square-rigged masts. During the Age of Sail, brigs were seen as fast and maneuverable and were used as both naval warships and merchant vessels. They were especially popular in the 18th and early 19th centuries. Brigs fell out of use with the arrival of the steamship because they required a relatively large crew for their small size and were difficult to sail into the wind. They are not to be confused with a brigantine, which has different rigging. A brig is distinct from a three-masted ship by virtue of only having two masts. Rigging. In sailing, a full-rigged brig is a vessel with two square-rigged masts. The mainmast of a brig is the aft one. To improve maneuverability, the mainmast carries a small fore and aft sail. Brig sails are named after the masts to which they are attached. The mainsail, above that the main topsail, above that the main topgallant sail, and occasionally a very small sail, called the royal, is above that. Behind the mainsail there is a small fore and aft sail called the spanker or boom mainsail. On the foremast is a similar sail, called the trysail. Attached to the respective yards of square-rigged ships are smaller spars, which can be extended, thus lengthening the yard, thus receiving an additional sailing wing on each side. These are called studding sails, and are used with fair and light wind only. The wings are named after the sails to which they are fastened, i.e., the main studding sails, main top studding sails, and the main top-gallant studding sails, etc. The brig's foremast is smaller than the main mast. The foremast holds a foresail, foretopsail, foretop-gallant sail, and foreroyal. Between the foremast and the bowsprit are the forestaysail, jib, and flying jib. All the yards are manipulated by a complicated arrangement of cordage named the running rigging. This is opposed to the standing rigging, which is fixed, and keeps mast and other objects rigid. Hull material. A brig is generally built on a larger scale than the schooner, and often approaches in magnitude to the full-sized three-masted ship. Brigs vary in length between 75 and 165 feet with tonnages up to 480. Historically, most brigs were made of wood, although some latter brigs were built with hulls and masts of steel or iron. A brig made of pine in the 19th century was designed to last for about 20 years. Development of the brig. The word brig has been used in the past as an abbreviation of brigantine. The brig actually developed as a variant of the brigantine. Re-rigging a brigantine with two square-rigged masts instead of one gave it greater sailing power. The square-rigged brig's advantage over the fore and aft-rigged brigantine was that the sails, being smaller and more numerous, are more easily managed, and require fewer men or hands to work them. The variant was so popular that the term brig came to exclusively signify a ship with this type of rigging. By the 17th century, the British Royal Navy defined brig as having two square-rigged masts. Historic usage. Brigs were used as small warships carrying about 10 to 18 guns. Due to their speed and maneuverability, they were popular among pirates, while their use stretches back before the 17th century. One of the most famous periods for the brig was during the 19th century, when they were involved in famous naval battles such as the Battle of Lake Erie. In the early 19th century, the brig was a standard cargo ship. It was seen as fast and well-sailing, but required a large crew to handle its rigging. While brigs could not sail into the wind as easily as fore and aft-rigged vessels such as schooners, a trait that is common to all square-rigged ships, a skilled brig captain could maneuver it with ease and elegance. A brig could, for instance, turn around almost on the spot. A brig's square rig also had the advantage over a fore and aft-rigged vessel when traveling offshore, in the trade winds, where vessels sailed downwind for extended distances and where the danger of a sudden jibe was the large schooner captain's nightmare. This trait later led to the evolution of the barkentine. The need for large crews in relation to their relatively small size led to the decline of the production of brigs. They were replaced in commercial traffic by gaff-sail schooners and steamboats. The Tellis, built in Bangor, Maine in 1883, was reportedly the last brig to join the American Merchant Marine, and was considered to be the finest vessel of her class ever constructed in Maine. She was wrecked on Aves Island, off Bonaire in the Caribbean, in 1900. Historic examples: the brig Argus used during the First Barbary War and the War of 1812. Archer, a vessel of the Second Texas Navy. The brig Oneida used during the War of 1812. James Fenimore Cooper was a midshipman aboard the Oneida while under construction. The cargo hauling brig Farmer, owned by George Washington. The cargo hauling brig Fleetwing. The brig Leonora of Captain Bully Hayes. The brig Niagara, captained by Commander Oliver Hazard Perry in the Battle of Lake Erie, a pivotal victory for the United States in the War of 1812. The brig Oregon, used in the U.S. exploring expedition. The cargo brig Pilgrim, whose 1834 trading voyage from Boston, Massachusetts to California is described in the book 2 years before the mast. Potomac, a vessel of the Second Texas Navy. The brig Rebecca, captained by Robert Jenkins, whose boarding triggered the War of Jenkins' Ear. The brig Reprisal, that fought in the American Revolution. The brig Summers, sunk in the Mexican-American War. HMS Beagle was built as a brig for the Royal Navy. She was deployed as a survey vessel to survey the coasts of South America, Australia, and Africa. A mizzen mast was added prior to the 5-year voyage with Charles Darwin to increase the maneuverability in the shallow coastal waters that she would explore. John Lafitte's pirate brig, the Pride, from 1815 to 1816. The brig HMS Badger was the future Admiral Horatio Nelson's first command as a young lieutenant. Wharton, one of the vessels of the Second Texas Navy, which participated in the naval Battle of Kamchatka, which is the only historical example of a steam navy having been defeated by a sail navy. Joel Reuter's supercargo sailed out of New Haven Harbor in 1802 on the brig Huron to begin his journey around the world on a sealing expedition. Rover was a privateer brig out of Liverpool, Nova Scotia, known for several bold battles in the Napoleonic Wars. Note that while the famous mystery ship Mary Celeste is sometimes called the brig, she was clearly a brigantine. Brigs in fiction. The 18-gun brig Rattlesnake, commanded by Commander Terence O'Brien in Frederick Marryat's Peter Simple. The brig Lightning in Joseph Conrad's The Rescue. The brig Sea Hawk in The Pirate of the Mediterranean by William Henry Giles Kingston. The brig Interceptor in the film Pirates of the Caribbean. The Curse of the Black Pearl. The brig Enterprise in the film Star Trek Generations. The brigs Portugallia and Amelia appear in the Horatio Hornblower series by C.S. Forrester. The brig HMS Sophie in Master and Commander by Patrick O'Brien. The brig Triton in Ramage and the Freebooters and Governor Ramage R.N. by Dudley Pope. The brig Molly Swash, in James Fenimore Cooper's book Jack Tear. The brig Hellebore in the Nathaniel Drinkwater series by Richard Woodman. The brig Isle of Skye in Ian Lawrence's The Wreckers. The brig Seahawk in Avi's novel The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. The brig Bluebird in Everett Tauber's song, Balladen on Brigand Bluebird Ave Hull. The brig Grampus in Edgar Allan Poe's novel The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. The brig Jolly Roger, a pirate ship of Captain Hook from James M. Barrie's Peter Pan. The brig Speedy, a pirate ship from Jules Verne's The Mysterious Island. The brig Constancia from Jules Verne's A Drama in Mexico. The brig Forward from Jules Verne's The Adventures of Captain Hatteras. The brig Duncan from Jules Verne's In Search of the Castaways. The brig Arkham in H.P. Lovecraft's The Mountains of Madness. The brig Poison Orchid in Scott Lynch's Red Seas Under Red Skies. The brig Covenant in Robert Louis Stevenson's Kidnapped. The brig HMS Wolverine in L.A. Mayors Under the Jolly Roger. The brig Aquila in the game Assassin's Creed 3. The brig Jackdaw in the game Assassin's Creed OV. Black Flag. The brig sloop Morrigan in the game Assassin's Creed Rogue. Modern recreations. the Brig Lady Washington, the Brig Bob Allen, the Brig Trey Croner, the Brig Niagara, the Brig Lady Nelson, the Brig T.S. Royalist, the Brig Pilgrim, the Brigs Stavros S. Nearchus and Prince William, the Brig Roald Amundsen, the Brig La Grace,